Hello everyone, happy post-halving. I hope you all made it safely out of the halving block 840,000. It has happened and fees went super high and crazy for a couple of days and then it died down a little bit. And now it's back up again for whatever reason. But I wanted to give you a review of a project that I found recently that I thought was pretty interesting. At least artistically very cool, and I said that I would I told the people in the Discord that I would do a video to break down how these are made. It's pretty much another educational video to talk about recursion, etc. Hopefully it's helpful for you and gives you some knowledge that you may not have had before. So the project, as you can see here, is called Pepe Ordinals Maxi, and it's only been out for, I think, 3 days, or 3 or 4 days. And as you can see, the art is original, and they look pretty cool. I like them, and they're fairly affordable at the moment. So, well, except the fees are a bit crazy. So maybe if you wait until the fees settle down a little bit, and maybe pick up a few of these if you like them, they could potentially do quite well. So I'm in the Discord having a look around, and some of the things that have been planned and yet to be announced, they seem fairly promising, but as always, until these things actually delivered, you can't really judge. It's all speculation. Anyway, what I'm going to do today is go through one of these inscriptions and break it down and have a look in the background and see how they're made up, so you can appreciate how efficient the code is, and particularly in times of high fees, how important it is to make sure that you're spending as little as possible. So we're not cutting corners. It's about being efficient with code. So the particular inscription that I'm going to look at, and I've actually preloaded everything in my tabs because the internet is a little bit slow for some reason, so I don't want to keep you waiting. So the one we're going to look at is this particular inscription, and what I'm going to do first is open this up inside ord.io, because that gives you the ability to look behind this at the code. So all you need to do is grab the ID, the inscription ID, not the number, but the ID, and go to ord.io / and paste this particular ID. And you will end up with a very similar page like this. The only difference being that you will be able to click this button here, which will change what you see to the actual code that's behind this. Another thing to note here is that the file size is 174 bytes, which is pretty much impossible for getting art like this as an inscription. So you already know by looking at this that there's something cool going on behind the scenes. So let's click this button here, and you will see that there is a script tag that provides some variables. We'll look into that later, ID, and a source that points to a different inscription. So basically this inscription is saying, please go and take the contents of this inscription and load it within here so that they can use it, obviously inside of a script. So the same thing again, you'll just grab this ID and go to ord.io / and paste this ID, and you will end up with this one here. So this is what's been pulled in to this area here. And if we have a look at this, it's a lot longer, and it's actually a lot of code, a lot of script, obviously because there was a script tag, so we're expecting some JavaScript. And this also makes reference to other inscriptions. One is called collection JSON URL, and the other one is called preview URL. And if we look further down, you will see some functions that relate to loading an image, rendering an image. You've got some parameters for the width and the height of the image to be rendered. And further down towards the bottom, you're going to see something here that says, here we go, document.body append child image, which is an image tag. So this is what ultimately puts the image onto your screen. But before we get to there, we're going to have a look at this collection JSON URL. So once again, exactly the same. Copy this ord.io/paste, and you will end up with this inscription. Now this inscription, once again, so we're working up the tree, if you like. And this once again references many other inscriptions. But this one is a little bit easier to understand because it gives you some more information, such as the name of the collection, supply, and we've got this thing here, attributes. And it says trait type background, order 0, and traits. So this is a JSON string, if you're familiar with data types. And I've got this open in a different window to make it a little bit easier to view. So this here is the same as this, except it's full screen, let's say, and it's laid out in a nicer way, so like a tree. So if we look back at this one, I was talking about the attributes in the background, and you'll see it once again, attributes, trait type background, and you can see they're grouped together. So these are indented. So you've got here a trait type background, of which there are 4. One is called POM black, POM gray, POM orange, POM white. If we go back to the collection, you will see that the 4 different types of backgrounds, as you can see, are white, orange, gray, and black right here. Additionally, you will see a number that is assigned to each, and you can probably work out through logic that this is the weighting of these attributes. So if you add these 4 together, it's going to be 100, 25, 25, 25, 25. So therefore, each of these backgrounds have an even chance of being chosen. So this is generated by a script. Typically, you have an engine, you put all of your traits in, assign them rarity or weighting, and then once you hit the button, it'll start producing however many you've specified. So in this case, 6,000, or maybe they specified 7,000 and then cut 1,000 that didn't look so good, like chose the best looking 6,000. So there are a couple of ways to do it. But basically the weighting tells the generation script how to pick the traits. So if we look at the next trait type, which is the back, so it's not the background, it's the back, as in like what does the character have on the back. And you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 traits here. And we're going to come back to this one because there's a little, not an Easter egg, but something interesting in this. So we'll move on to the clothing, of which there are quite a few types. And you can see that the rarest weighting, which is the smallest number, so think of it as chance out of 100. So 3 out of 100 will have the Neil Hon Diamond Long clothing. And if we look through the list, the smallest number we get is probably going to be a 2. There you go. BTC Whale Go, BTC Whale GW, King's Gear. So in other words, the rarity of the clothing is actually fairly evenly distributed. So you're not going to see one that's like super rare compared to the others. And the heads, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 heads. And the rarest ones are the rainbow puke mouth, the skull Pepe, and the skull Pepe with smoke, which is it's a cigarette. So we can keep going down, and you will see the entire list of traits. And each of these have a reference to an inscription. And if we open the inscription, you're going to see that specific trait in isolation, because these images are made up of pieces. And we're going to see how this particular guy is made up next. So now that we know that, what we're going to do is go to, what was I going to do? Not that. I was going to go back to my example. All right, so this guy. So if we go back to the original inscription, which is this one, so this is how Ord.io initially shows you the inscription. But if you click on the code, we saw there were 3 lines of code. It's probably actually a line, but it's kind of line wrapped into 3. So the interesting thing to look out for here is this value here, t equals 1626398012, separated by commas. Now let's go back to this inscription, which is the code to generate the image. If we scroll down a little bit, you will see nice comments here. It says, this function, extract trait paths, map through each trait type order specified in T. So we saw this T before, didn't we? In here, right? So this script is taking the values of the T and it's going to map, in other words, find the matching trait and then the corresponding inscription. So it's preparing all of the layers at this stage. So if we go and look at the value of the first one, it says t equals 1. Now, if we go back to our JSON string, it says that the order is as follows: the background order 0, the back order 1. So in programming, things start with zeros. So the first one, t equals 1, is referring to the background trait. And because the value was 1, we're looking at the second item because the first one is 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3 is how they're numbered. So we're looking for 1, which is POM gray. And as you can see, the background is gray. And I've also loaded this inscription in Ord.io, the same way that I've been saying throughout the video. Ord.io / paste this value, and this is what you get, which is just the gray background. The next one is 6. So back type is 6. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it should have bat wings gray, which is this one. If we go back to the full image, you can see it there. And then we just continue through the list, and I've got them all here. So if you have a look at, just try and take a visual memo of this, and we'll go through. So the background, the back, the shirt or the clothing, it's the head, the eyes that go on top of the head, on the head, or where the eye should be. This trait is called the hair, and finally the hands. So there you go. So everything that I've just scrolled through in layer order creates this image. So the reason why the layering is important is because the last layer is the hands layer, and this dude has a balloon like this, and this is the layer that's at the very top or at the very front if you're looking at it, and therefore the balloon is in front of the bat wings. It's in front of this little piece of the ear, right? So if this layer order was different and the hand was, let's say, layer 1, then the balloon would be hidden, or part of the balloon would be hidden by the wings and also the hair, in this case the hat or the hoodie. Right, so now I talked about code efficiency, right? So if we go back to the original inscription, the size 174 bytes, right? So this is how the project is able to, and many other projects use a similar method. In fact, I think I've seen this script elsewhere. I just can't remember where. I may have seen this somewhere else. So this could be either borrowed or inspired by another collection. If so, I mean, I think that's quite okay, because it just means that somebody's set a really good standard that people are following. So yes, so to create a 6,000 collection, 10,000 collection, etc., without using this kind of technique, you're going to be paying either the project or the person that's inscribing, depends who pays for it, a lot more than 174 bytes to inscribe. Like if you were to inscribe a full image like this, right, it'll cost you 20 times more, maybe even more. So this is how costs can be reduced, and this is how you can overcome high fees that are currently being seen on Bitcoin. Let's go back to the JSON string, because I did say there was an interesting point about the back trait. So you see one here with a weight of 0, and it says bean, and I've got it loaded up. It's this dude, right, the Azuki bean. Now, because the weighting is 0, it actually didn't make it into the final collection. So you will not see any Pepe Ordinal Maxi with this bean. And I asked about this in the Discord without giving away that I was looking at the collection JSON list. And the response I got was that they really wanted the trait to be there, but it messed up with some of the layering. So they decided against it, which I think is a very good thing, that they prioritize the quality of the final image over perhaps like individual wishes to have a certain trait included. So yeah, so before the rarity goes up on the site, you can kind of scan through this list and work out which ones are rare. So with anything that has a lot of traits and has values of 1, 2, they're pretty much even. And I think personally it's a good thing that they've done to have so many different traits inside of the hands, the clothing, and I think the hair, because it just means that a lot of them are rare. A lot of them are very unique, and you won't find similar combinations within the collection. So I think that's a good thing. Now, what else? If you go to these traits and you create, you click the creation transaction, it's going to take you to mempool.space, but I recommend you change the mempool part in the URL to ordpool.space, which is run by someone else. And because it will show you the actual digital artifacts or inscriptions that have been put into that particular transaction. So for example, if I open this one, it tells me that at a cost of $1,633, the team inscribed the following 24 digital artifacts in this transaction. And they are all, I think, I haven't looked through all of them, but seems to be a lot of the hair traits. And here's another one, a separate one, cost of $1,664, and it's got 11 clothing items, but there are more. So that there are other transactions where they've uploaded the rest of these traits. So basically, the collection wasn't cheap to inscribe, like these individual parts. So I think in that sense, it's I suppose the team is fairly serious. Like it wasn't a cheap job. And from everything I can see so far, it seems fairly promising. I've swept a bunch of them, and And yeah, I just look forward to seeing what they announce and what they deliver. There are some things that they haven't announced yet. Apparently there's some cool things in the works, so let's see where it goes. But once again, just do your own research, not financial advice. This is entirely educational advice, and I hope you learned something new, and we'll see you again in another video. Oh, and be careful minting these runes, etching and minting. 99.9% of them are useless. Okay, just so you don't throw away any money unnecessarily. Anyways, catch you next time. Bye-bye.